magic forever. It felt good to say that. And the man was excited to finally see the pieces of Mastermind's plan coming together. "I've rented a place in New York City so I can keep an eye on Loudon," said the man. "In the meantime, I've got Talbot and Vanderbeek taking shifts outside the Morrison house. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It could take years, but we won't let it get away from us." The man ended the recording and slipped the phone into his pocket. Then he ran forward and jumped out of the mailbox. As he fell, he reached up and pulled off the glasses. Instantly, he returned to his regular size, feet striking the sidewalk. The man glanced once more at the house, tugged at the collar of his coat, and strode off down the dark street. 2.5 years later. Chapter 1. Wednesday, May 13th, 2:05 p.m. Eagle Fields Charter School, Indiana. I was definitely not ready for this book report, but that wasn't a surprise. Reading and homework were for kids who didn't have better things to do. Things like video games. But I found myself rethinking my choices as I stood in front of my whole class, filled with dread as Mrs. Dunlow circled closer like a vulture in the desert, just waiting for the helpless critter, me, to finally die. I stammered. "I'm not sure where to begin." Speaking to my classmates was always terrifying, especially when I was supposed to be talking about a book I hadn't even read. "You could start by telling us the title," my teacher said. That seemed like a good idea. Why hadn't I thought of that on my own? "Right," I said, holding up the book in my right hand. "It's called The Music in the Box." Honestly, I was feeling a little embarrassed about it. The librarian had actually made it sound pretty cool, but once I got home, the book had looked totally boring. I had tossed it on my dresser and forgotten all about it, and the report, until last night. "And what was the book about?" my teacher asked. Music," I said. "In a box." A few kids snickered, and that made me feel pretty good. But I didn't want Mrs. Dunlow to call my mom again. Then I'd get another lecture about being a smart aleck. And by the end, my mom would somehow find a way to blame my behavior on my dad. Because if he were still around... "Okay, Mason," Mrs. Dunlow said. "I think you're done." I felt my A+ quickly turning into a daydream. "Wait," I pleaded. I had one chance to recover my grade. My mom had found me a good visual aid, just like the librarian had suggested. I whipped it out from behind my back, holding it aloft for all my classmates to see. "This is a music box," I explained. "I know it's a little different from the one on the cover of the book." I glanced at the novel for reference. "The one on the book is made of metal. This one is made of wood. The book one has a little robot that spins around doing a techno dance. This one doesn't." I actually had no idea what was inside this music box. My mom had found it for me after I'd gone to bed last night. We'd argued about the book report. I'd told her that it didn't matter if I'd read the book, as long as I had a good visual aid to show off. She'd opened the box at breakfast, but I'd been disappointed by its dainty appearance and hadn't paid it much attention. The happy little song it played was so annoying that I didn't think there was any chance it would win me an A+. In fact, I hadn't even planned to bring it to school, but Mom had stuffed it into my backpack, saying that she hadn't gone through so much effort to get it for nothing. "Does it open?" asked Mrs. Dunlow, unimpressed with the item in my hands. "Yeah," I said, not wanting to do it for fear of the cheesy song that would play for my classmates. "Mason," the teacher said.